Ginny and Georgia, we meet again. The dearly beloved and the most hated. I didn't know what to expect this time around, but of course, there is plenty to talk about. But before we dive in, I want to give a huge thank you to Babbel for sponsoring this video. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the entire world. With this being a new year, I said, you know what? I'm going to stop saying I want to learn a new language, and I'm actually going to do it. I took French for like 15 years in school, and all I know is bonjour, je m'appelle. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I did not pay attention in class. But you know what? I'm taking Spanish this time, and I'm going to turn a new leaf. I'm happy to be using Babbel because, first of all, the lessons are designed by real language teachers, and Babbel has actually been scientifically proven to help you start speaking a new language in 3 weeks. Like full-on conversation, not just bonjour, je m'appelle. And if not, there is a 20-day money-back guarantee. But the thing I personally appreciate most is the flexibility. With me working a full-time job and being a content creator, my time is stretched, okay? So having the option to do a 5-minute lesson, 15, 20 or more on my own time is perfect. I literally recorded this lesson right before work, my lovely job that I clearly love so much.
Buenas noches, María.
Buenos noches, María. Unlike in English, buenos noches can be used as a greeting for the later hours of the evening and not only as a farewell. Buenos noches, Maria. So if you're like me and you want to finally cross learning a new language off of your list, or you want to beef up your resume with a new skill, or even if you plan on traveling and you want to be able to say, "Ooh, you cute, what's your number?" Click the link below to get 60% off of your subscription and let me know which language you choose. Now back to the video. We start off season 2 and it's a psycho thriller. Like, this is a change of pace. Georgia's choking the life out of Ginny, but it is only a dream, which means we still have to suffer through Ginny being an annoying brat. So, let's catch up with everybody, shall we? Ginny ran away at the end of the last season, and she went to stay with her dad. Maxine opens the door saying, "Welcome back, bitches," to her grandparents, because obviously that's how Gen Zers greet their elders. Marcus is on a fake downward spiral because Ginny's gone. Artwork on the wall and all, like, give me a break. Georgia and Mr. Mayor are playing house. Georgia misses her kids. Paul is trying to comfort her. Then we see Joe, our dearly beloved Joe, who is obviously going through it. I mean, who could blame him? The woman he had an instant connection with years ago turns back up in his life and gets engaged to the first sap with money she could find instead of giving him a chance. Yeah, that's tough. Ginny gets to spend time with her grandparents and her aunt. They're all cool and hip. Grams hangs out with the kids at Jack and Jill. What is Jack and Jill, you may ask? Good question. I have no idea. And neither does Ginny. And because of this, the aunt goes, "Tell me you have a white mama without telling me you have a white mama." Like, what is it with this show and including cringeworthy race bait within the first 20 minutes? She could have easily said something like, "We gotta come get you more so you can hang out with us." But no, let's make it about race just because. Goodbye. So then Gramps is trying to figure out what's wrong with Ginny, and here comes Austin blurting out all of their family business. Like, little boy, stay in the child's place and be quiet. Then we have this lovely scene of the families at dinner. Georgia and the future in-laws and Ginny with her grands. Green bean casserole versus green beans. Austin only eats them deep fried because that's how his mom makes them. But, you know, of course the aunt makes a remark about that. We cut back to Georgia, and Paul's mother is asking her which of her baby daddies are the kids spending Thanksgiving with. Both sets of parents have one thing in common despite their differences, and that is they don't think that Georgia is an acceptable partner for their sons. Now, one thing I can tell you is that my mom has been right thus far when it comes to if someone is right for me. I dated them anyway, and of course it didn't work out, and I was just sitting there looking dumb, but that's beside the point. The point is, they aren't far off. Georgia is not the kind of girl you want your son to bring home. As much as we love her, let's call a thing a thing. But anyway, Ginny finally does something I've been waiting for her to do, and that is confide in someone about her personal issues. She admits to her dad that she hurts herself, and he comforts her to the best of his abilities. But then, just like an irrational teen, she freaks out on him when he tells her that they need to discuss things with her mom. Now, on one end, I feel like he could have told the mom himself, but I know she would have approached Ginny about it, making it 10 times worse. So I'll let him slide with that. Now, this next scene threw me for a loop, and I don't know if it's because I just didn't catch it in the first season, I don't recall, or if I'm just all around irritated with these characters already, and we're barely out of the first episode. But Marcus's mom approaches and says, "Your daughter was just returning my son's motorcycle. Apparently she borrowed it." What is this? We're just gonna pretend like kids having motorcycles is a normal thing? High schoolers? You got the nerve to be mad at the fact that Ginny took the bike. Never mind you being an irresponsible parent in the first place, but you're pissed that one kid is out joyriding, risking their life, and it's not your child instead. Go away from me with this. But then here's one teen thing I actually think is realistic. Stupid TikTok dances with Max and Nora. Well, I can't say that's a teen thing. My 58-year-old aunt just sent me a TikTok of her doing the Cuff It challenge off beat. So there's that. But anyways, Georgia throws a hissy fit and refuses to let Ginny move in with her dad, which I think we all can agree this would be good for their relationship. They need some time away from each other, and she needs more time with her dad. But the condition is to tell her mom everything before she moves in, and Ginny would rather live there with Kill Bill than to tell her any of her personal struggles. So we get this monologue about Georgia saying that if you're not playing the game, then you're the one getting played. And Ginny is like, she told me it was us against the world, but turns out I was the pawn. And I have to say this, I do. I don't understand the logic of Ginny feeling she needs to know every single thing about her mother, especially the bad things. Like, what kid wants to know every single thing about their parent? But moving on to something even more egregious. We're back at school with the N and M of Ming. And the man everyone loves, Hunter. Now, Hunter got cheated on, so it's understandable that his smile turns upside down whenever he sees that cheating hussy walking down the hallway. I'm not calling her a hussy. That's just what Hunter's thinking. But then there's the most cliche move that I'm sure we all saw coming a mile away. Marcus gives Ginny the cold shoulder, as if he hasn't been creeping into her room at night, sleeping in her bed, smelling her hot breath in her dirty drawers. But who embraced her with open arms? Woke black girl, aka Bracia. So the writers of the show are clearly still trying to establish that divide of races. Like, the white people shunned you while the black people welcomed you with open arms. And they further show this racial divide when Ginny is helping Bracia rehearse for the school play auditions. And Bracia's all, they're not gonna cast me because I'm not white, and the character says something about polyester skin. I mean, porcelain skin. Walking around itching. And Ginny's like, well, maybe you can just change the line. And Bracia's like, they just better not give me the small, less glamorous role. And here's my main issue with this show. Something that they clearly did not think was necessary to change this time around, even though so many of us pleaded with them to do so. And that is the tone. It's hard to take issues they present seriously when it's so lax. They aren't showing us anything, they're just telling us, and whatever they are showing is severely underwhelming. Like, show Ginny walking into the auditorium and sitting in the audience for moral support, as Bracia does a flawless audition followed by a less than mediocre white girl that gets the part on the spot. Then Ginny and Bracia can exchange a look. No dialogue, just a look. That's how you can begin to pull your audience in. A shared experience wrapped in emotion. Heck, there was no build-up for us to care about this moment. Ginny didn't even know the girl was an actor. She just so happened to be walking by and was handed the script by homegirl, like, here, you read with her, I gotta go. So when she goes into her black-white spiel, it's like, okay. Same thing with the dinners earlier. They cut back and forth to show the contrast, but it didn't really bland. The auntie came in hot with racial comments, but it felt like it came out of nowhere. The green bean casserole moment. Why not have Austin look at the green beans and ask something like, where's the cream of mushroom soup? Have the family look at each other in confusion and then cut to Paul's mom serving the casserole at her table. Boom. Easy fix. Comical even. But no, for the sake of pissing everyone off, let's just keep making fetch happen. Let me move away from this topic. This is how I got stuck on the race thing last season. Moving right along, Ginny's fine daddy takes her to her first therapy session. She is in desperate need of it, and I'm glad he took that step. She needs something else to preoccupy her time other than obsessing over a boy who's really not trying to be more than friends with benefits. Like, she never even addresses him ghosting her at school. She just goes over to his house because she's stressed, and he puts his hands in her oven. Now, I do want to commend her for recognizing she's having a bad moment and chooses a different way to handle it. That shows personal growth, I guess. I just did not need to see this. But it feels like Georgia is going backwards when it comes to growth. Taking all the food out of the house because Ginny didn't want to eat when you said to. What are you going to do? Dig in the garbage every time you're hungry? And poor Austin's just an afterthought. Even though I can't stand Mang as a group or as individuals, I have to admit this moment was pretty great. When Max's ex-girlfriend walks into the restaurant hand in hand with her new boyfriend, and Ginny and Abby give each other the what the F look right after they gave each other the yeah, don't say nothing to me look, which now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's interesting to see Mang in the position that they are now. We all have friendships that go through their ups and downs, but at some point, especially during the downs, you have to reevaluate. Like, is this really my friend or is this a friendship of convenience? Because, and I'm not being biased when I say this, but they don't give me long haul. They give a couple of years after high school, phone tag, and then fade into the abyss. But what do I know? And speaking of friendships, Bracia and Ginny, they give me work friends. Those people you get along with in a controlled environment, but it doesn't go beyond that bubble. Not that I don't see potential there, because I actually do. It's the opposite of Mang. They seem more aligned, but it can't be through trauma binding only. Then you have Abby and Ginny, like, let's be friends because we're on the outs, not because we actually like each other. And then there's Padma, Ginny's sister wife, the married to her Robin. Like, what kind of friendship is this really? But anyway, Ginny finally tells someone about her mom's extracurricular activities. Marcus is lightweight intrigued, which is a big red flag. Something Ginny should probably take note of, but I'm gonna leave that one alone. He gave the response that we all have mentioned, and that is Georgia did what she had to do for Ginny. That's what it all boils down to. And when Ginny gets in the car, Georgia gives a speech about living her life for her, and it sinks in. Finally, Ginny gets it. She finally accepts that though she lives an unorthodox life and has very unconventional ways, it is not without reason. She even says it in her opening monologue. She can get past all of the terrible things her mother did in the name of love. So what now will be the focus of this relationship? How about teen pregnancy? We touched on it in season 1, but now it's time to take things seriously. She got a whole situationship going on, which means she can get knocked up and left for dead at any given moment. And now we've entered the part of the show where they are trying to find common ground for this mother and daughter since they are in a new chapter of their relationship. And for some reason, they could not think of a better way to do this other than Georgia teaching Ginny, how can I say this? Georgia teaching Ginny how to lick the spatula. Like, I get it. There are parents like this. You can turn on any episode of the Kardashians and get a dose, but why is it in the show? Let me talk about something else. Joe, our beloved Joe. Somebody has apparently gotten handsy with him right in the eye. He's been going on these mystery dates, so maybe that has something to do with it. But Ginny sees that Joe looks at her mom the way that she looks at Marcus. However, Georgia looks at Joe the way Ginny looks at Hunter. Or Joseph. I wanted him to have a chance at love with the one he desired, but knowing he's the Hunter changes things. Like, Who wants to be the person waiting in the wings? Not even an afterthought, not even a thought at all. And poor Paul can't get a word in to save his life. One man in her life that tries to bring structure and he gets shut down every turn. And then Hunter and Ginny finally have their awkward post-breakup talk, closing the chapter to the Oppression Olympics. But the thing about this party that they're at that doesn't make sense to me, and I just thought about it, is that her mother can coach her through licking a spatula, but Ginny couldn't tell Georgia she was having a party beforehand. Like, they not that cool for her to be like, hey mom, I'm throwing a party. I just, what are we doing? I don't get this. But now we switched gears again because Ginny blames herself for the crimes her mother committed. Blood's on her hand. Quick bait and switch for the storyline that I can actually stand behind because this friend thing is getting out of hand. Speaking of friends getting out of hand, Mang is back in full effect, and everyone is okay with Ginny and Marcus being official. All except for Hunter, of course. Now this feels really unrealistic. Not the fact that everybody is on board, but the fact that Hunter still hangs around. Like, unless I was plotting to get my girl back, I'm not hanging around you, walking around in agony because this is my group. I would find new friends so quick, but that's just me. Ginny teacher gives her some BS assignment about picking a book that depicts the Black experience for the class to read. And as I was processing this, Ginny's fine daddy said exactly what I was thinking. He's the teacher. How is it her responsibility to present him with a lesson? And I have to say, I'm happy to see her have this conversation with her dad. This is the tone I've been waiting on. It's short-lived, but small wins count too. We're still in the negative, but progress. We leave this episode with Ginny proclaiming again how much she just don't really care for her mom and how her mom just doesn't understand her. But I have an issue with the poem. For some reason, Ginny wants her mother to be one of those out-of-the-loop white moms that doesn't care about her child's experience in the world, but we need more. Like, she says this right after her mother was about to handle her teacher in only a way that Georgia can because of his racial bias. Though she did dress up as Scarlett O'Hara, it does make me feel like the writers had her to do that just so Ginny could have a reason to feel that way, instead of showing us that it's been an ongoing issue. But let me get off this topic before I get stuck here again. Oh, but on a lighter note, we find out that Austin's dad is Iceman, so that's fun. So even though I knew we were leading up to Christmas with the Secret Santa and the holiday party, for some reason this Christmas episode feels like it came out of nowhere. I don't know why. This is the point where we get to the hard truths. Joe gets cut off. Sophie finally puts a stop to Max's stalking. Paul tells Georgia it's time to stop shutting him out of everything and acting like she owns the place. And Paul and Zion's parents confirm how much they can't stand Georgia. But with Joe, I feel like he's taking what he can get. His heart's true desire is Georgia, but she's preoccupied. I don't really like this pairing though. This lady is in mourning and he's in heartbreak. Another relationship of convenience. Another truth. Georgia reads Ginny's journal and finds out that she SHs. And though I don't think that was okay, it was a moment they needed. The breakdown and breakthrough that needed to happen. We are off to a good start with Ginny and Georgia's relationship. Again, this time there is a sense of hope here. There is a different energy. There's also a different energy with Marcus. He is hiding something. He claimed there was a lot of Uno playing at Christmas, but he's been in his room the entire time. Then he shows up drunk. Something's very fishy. Georgia goes to therapy with Ginny, but with the past she's had, she needs to go to therapy alone and then go with Ginny because there's plenty to unpack there. They talk about the Scarlett O'Hara costume she wore. Even though the writers threw it in, that was indeed insensitive. And dare I say this? I don't know if I'm going to regret it later, but I'm starting to see the appeal in Ginny. Hear me out before y'all attack. The therapy sessions bring out another side. We're peeling back the layers. We're getting to the root of her pain so that her healing can begin. And it's refreshing. It's interesting that this scene is followed by Abby and Ginny talking about Abby's family problems. As many of us remember, last season, she didn't care about anyone but herself, was very dismissive. Also interesting that the other girls didn't show up, so I guess only Ginny changed. Even though Max sees the error of her ways later on after she didn't stand up for Ginny in class, I still don't see this group making it past college, and it ain't gonna change. We dive more into what's going on with Marcus, and he said, I've been drinking more alcohol for the past 5 days. Did you check on me? No, but he's depressed. We've all been there. Heck, my room looks like his right now. But with Ginny being so open with him about her struggles, I wonder why he didn't feel comfortable sharing with her. And furthermore, she didn't see it. She's doing the same thing to him that she feels people do to her. So he goes on to have this conversation with Padma, telling her he's sorry and he hurts everyone. It takes a great deal of self-awareness to know that you need to be alone for the betterment of yourself mentally and emotionally before you can be there for anybody else. So I commend him for that. Though, of course, Ginny doesn't see it this way. All she hears is, girl, I don't want to be with you. And she gives a speech that so many of us give. You're going to regret it, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to tell her, like, sis, save your breath. He is not going to change his mind. But again, we've all been there too. So, some rather disturbing things happen in the meantime, and Georgia ends up calling off the wedding. Ginny tells Georgia she needs to grow up and stop running every time something goes wrong. Tell Paul everything. Be brave enough to live the life you really want. Paul runs like a bat out of hell, but I mean, can we blame him? She tells him everything, but conveniently leaves out all of the deceased husbands on her account. Ginny learns to be a friend in Marcus's time of need. Paul puts Austin's daddy in his place. Paul said, I ain't no wimp. I know that's right, Paul. Hold your woman down. I was Team Joe, even Zion, but now I'm Team Paul. Ginny comes through with the venue save, so the wedding happens and is full bliss. That is until Georgia is arrested for her most recent victim. Well, that puts a damper on the happy ending. So what are my overall thoughts, you ask? I like this season better than the first one. The race thing hasn't improved much, though I do like that Max showed allyship. Ginny stood up for herself through the guidance of her father, but the creators still have a long way to go with that. I really appreciated the flashbacks this season of Georgia in her younger years, really painting the picture for the audience of how she got to this place in life. I liked Paul, Joe, and Zion this season. I don't like where they're taking Austin, though. Like, please save this child. I feel like Marcus was really relatable this season with everything he was dealing with. Meng, I already told y'all how I feel about them, and I still cannot believe that Ginny is starting to grow on me. Never thought I'd see the day. But what did you guys think of this season? Let me know down below. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to click like and hop on over to that subscribe button and hit the bell. Otherwise, YouTube will never show my videos. As always, I'm all ears. Until next time, bye.
Dan it, Dan it. Dan it, Dan it, Dan it, Dan it, Dan it.
I like that. It's going to be my new theme song.
Dan it, Batman.